guys, it's Miss Val. Miss Val's got massive something going on her face. Hope that doesn't fall over. Hi guys, how are you doing? Thumbs up, thumbs middle, thumbs down. I gotta check to see when Sammy gets on. Hi, I love it. I love all the comments. Hi, Teeny Gymnast. Hi, Maya. Hi, Miss Val. Hi, Fergie. Happy Saturday, you guys. Yo, Joyful Gymnast. Hi, Lindsey Graham. Hi, Alozone. Hi, Teeny Gymnast. I hope you guys are having a good Saturday. This is awesome. I love all of the comments. So excited to have our guest join us. I haven't seen her in so long and I miss her terribly. But she should be joining us soon. Happy Saturday, Daniel. You've been working hard on this and we appreciate you. Daniel's the director of Gotham, you guys. Hi, Fergie. Hi, Gymnast something. Let me call Samantha. Make sure she's going. Hi, Kyla. You rock too.
Hey, did you see my request?
Was it in the comments? Yeah. Okay, do it again. I missed it. Okay. Oh, Sam is here. I couldn't find her, Laura. Where'd she go? Hi, Miss Val. Hi, Miss Val. Thank you, Carly. I was probably too busy reading all the awesome comments. I miss Sammy. Okay, really? Am I missing her? Where is she? Emma Corner. Hi, Miss Val. Hi, Elena. I'm so happy. Oh, good. Elena, I'm so happy you're happy. This is great. Samantha, I see you. I see you, Sammy. Did you come in? Waiting for Samantha Peszek. Connecting. Hi, Sammy.
Hello, finally. I thought you weren't going to accept me.
I will always accept you, honey. Always.
Thank you.
You know me in technology, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So
I'm impressed that you're doing this live.
Me, that like I'm the moderator. I know.
And that your face is in the whole frame.
Okay. What are you talking about, Sam?
Because you used to do the selfie thing with only your eyes.
Okay. If you go back and you look at my selfies, yes. But that's because I don't know how to hold the phone and push the button. And so when I would push the button, the phone would flip. And so then I would do a selfie that looked like that. Yes, you are true.
You've come a long way.
Thank you.
I'm really proud.
I appreciate that. Let me introduce you properly, okay? So let's rewind. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Gotham Gymnastics. I'm so excited to be back. It's been like a whole week and it feels like a month. But I'm here with an icon. Her name is Samantha Peszek. She is an Olympic medalist. She is an NCAA champion. If you go back to any of the interviews that I've done here on Gotham or other platforms, and we talk about resilience, when we talk about how to stay motivated through injury, when you talk about how to get better during those times, I have always talked about the great Samantha Peszek. And so I'm so excited to welcome you, Sammy.
Thank you. That's so nice.
It's true.
I'm excited to be here.
Okay, so I'm going to turn off the comments for now. Daniel says, thank you both for doing this, of course. I'm going to turn the comments off just so that we don't have the comments going over Sammy's beautiful face. And then we'll bring the comments back up so you guys can ask questions, okay? I'm really, really bright. So, Samantha.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good.
How are you enjoying quarantine?
You know, it was an adjustment at first, considering my life is traveling. And I think anyone that's seen, what I do for a living, I genuinely love my job. So I was very worried at first. But now I feel like I've found this new normal and I'm really in a routine and a rhythm. And I have more structure in my life since I've been in college. And it's actually been really nice. I'm appreciating all these things in my life.
So what have you done for the people who don't know what you do since you graduated from college and then retired from gymnastics? What have you been doing?
Well, it's funny because I remember my very last year just being a little burnt out with the sport. And as I was, Val, I was one of the athletes that loved gymnastics until my very last day in the sport. But I wanted to be a football sports reporter and really take a step out of the gymnastics world. And it's kind of funny now because everything in my career has to do with gymnastics. And it's because I can't get away from it. That's how much I love the sport of gymnastics. Is my volume better now?
Yeah, I asked her to turn her volume down a little bit because I think she was echoing.
Okay.
Yeah, you really. So
yeah. So now, yeah. So
I what you're doing. You got to tell everybody. I'll be right back.
Okay. I think I'm echoing because it's on a platform. Let me try this. See if that's better. So I am a sports broadcaster for the Pac-12 networks and for ESPN. So it's amazing. I still get to be involved with NCAA gymnastics and see all my friends and talk about the sport that I love. And then in 2017, I actually created this event called Bheem Queen Boot Camp. And so we travel, I guess, around the world now. We just went to Australia for the first time, and it's all about giving confidence. I really believe that confidence is the key to the underlying theme of being a great beam worker. And it's really hard to develop confidence as an athlete, let alone on one of the scariest events in the scariest sport in the world. So it's just a 2-day event, and we help gymnasts improve their skill level and, most importantly, improve their confidence on beam.
Okay, so another story I tell about you. I talk about you a lot, Sammy, whenever I talk about
Miss Val, I talk about you a lot. It's mutual.
Thank you. But one thing for those of you younger girls that don't really know Sam and her gymnastics, Sammy Peszek is without question, without a doubt, one of the best balance beam workers in the world during her time. She was absolutely fearless up there, and she took command of the beam instead of the beam taking command of her and making her feel frightened. She actually took command of the beam. And one thing that I remember noticing when I was coaching Sam was every spare second that she had in our gym, she would go hop up on the beam and just do dance throughs and go through her mental routines. Can you talk about that? Why you did that and what it brought you?
Well, I mean, Val, you've heard this story. You didn't know me at the time, but I almost quit the sport because of beam. I had a lot of fears on beam. I hated beam. Like, I would go to bed at night, like, dear God, if you've ever loved me in my entire life, like, please let me wake up and beam not be an event in gymnastics. Like, that's how much I hated beam so much. Like, I would wake up in the morning and at breakfast, I'd be like about to go to school and I'd be thinking about having to do beam later that day. Like, it.
Time out. Did you guys just hear this? She asked God to make beam not be an event, and she asked.
Yeah, and every day I went to a Catholic school, so then I prayed about it, and then I got to the gym, and I was even more upset that I felt like God hated me because the beams were still there. And I had told him I only wanted one thing in my whole entire life, and that was to get rid of beam. So fast forward, I think God works in mysterious ways because it ended up becoming my best event, my favorite event. So,
and who's the national balance beam champion? Samantha Peszek. Thank
yeah.
God, I'm not listening to her.
Yes, exactly. So I feel like, I was so frustrated on the event for so long, and Val, my work ethic in the sense that, like, when something is wrong, I just want to, like, figure out a way to fix it, and I'll do whatever it takes. I'll ask for advice. And I was like that even as a young gymnast. I didn't understand why this was happening to me. And so, you know, I would visualize and I would set goals with my coaches. And I think one of the things that really helped is that I shifted my mindset. So instead of waking up every day and being dreading Bheem, oh, I hate Bheem, Bheem hates me, I was trying to tell myself, you love Bheem. You're an amazing Bheem worker. You're the best Bheem worker in the world. You're fearless on Bheem. And so it's just kind of ironic that, you know, I was quote unquote faking it to myself for a really long time. And then one day I just remember laughing to myself that I woke up and I said all these things and I believed it. I actually felt like I was a really great Bheem worker, and I felt like, you know, I was confident on Bheem for the first time ever. And so I did so much mental work and so much muscle memory with my skills that I felt like I had one of the strongest foundations on Bheem of anyone. And so when we went to meets, a lot of my teammates and people that I was competing with would be like, oh gosh, Bheem's next, or I'm ending on Bheem. And I loved it. I was like, great. Any time of the day, I'll do Bheem. I know I'm going to make my Bheem routine. It kind of was like my secret weapon in a way.
Okay, so this is what you're saying is literally priceless. Like, I hope all of you girls are listening and taking notes and go back and watch this 100 times when we're done, because this is the secret sauce for you to be great on Bheem. Take us back to your mental shift of when you hated Bheem, hate Bheem. Please, God, make Bheem not an event. And what was it that allowed you to shift that to tell yourself only positive things? Because gymnasts, you guys have been told this 1,000 times now about only thinking positive things, but it's harder to do than we think it is. And what was it at that moment, Sammy, that allowed you to go, I'm sick and tired of hating Bheem. I'm going to do something different.
It was kind of, I mean, for lack of better words, it was my final straw. Like, I was in a dark place in my gymnastics career at that point, where I kind of was telling myself, you know, like, I cannot, I'm doing all the right things. I'm going in every day. I'm working hard. I'm visualizing. I'm doing this. And like, I still couldn't get over my fears. And so I finally told myself, like, listen, I'm going to do everything in my power to get over this fear. And if it doesn't happen, then I'm just not made for this sport. I'm not the gymnast that I thought I was. You know, and so I almost was trying to prove myself wrong in a way, because I didn't feel like you know, I moved up the levels pretty quickly. I was powerful. I had all the ingredients, but like, what was between my ears, what was stopping me? And I didn't have a bad injury. I never saw anybody have a bad injury. I don't know why I was afraid, but it was so frustrating. And, you know, when you're frustrated, your coaches are frustrated, and everybody's just frustrated because they want what's best for you. And so it was kind of like my last straw in the sport of like, okay, I'm going to try this. And if this doesn't work, I've done it all, you know? And so, I just decided that it wasn't just one thing that worked for me. I had to, you know, throw the kitchen sink, in terms of like, I had to visualize. I had to replace my thoughts. I had to do the hard work. It was like everything all at once for me to overcome this one fear. And it felt like such a burden at the time. But if I was being honest and really reflecting on my gymnastics career, I think going through that at a young age actually helped me become the confident gymnast that I became and that I was at UCLA. I remember Miss Val on the team, like, girls coming up to me and asking me like, oh, how are you so confident, or how are you? And I would like laugh, because they didn't see me go through this years and years and years of struggling, of being this like troubled, you know, basket case gymnast that couldn't do my series for so long.
How old were you when you flipped it?
I think I was 15 or 16.
And then do you remember what you felt like that very next day going in the gym when you decided to flip it?
Yeah, I mean, I just felt like bulletproof in a way. Like, I felt like the confidence that I had developed on Bheem, because it was my quote unquote nemesis at the time. And when I say nemesis, I was scoring the best at the meets on Bheem, but every day in practice, it was always like, okay, is she going to do it today? At meets, it wasn't like, oh, I hope she stays on. My coaches were like, I hope she goes for all of her skills. That was the thought, which I can't imagine coaching. My coaches were very patient with me, thank goodness. But you know, after I kind of got over that fear and went through all of that process of being sick and tired of being sick and tired, that confidence that I had on Bheem, that like bulletproof mentality started to spread to all of my other events. And it was like this underlying, you know, chip on my shoulder of I'm competing with confidence no matter what. If I could overcome this insane mental obstacle on Bheem, I can do that with any problem, any obstacle, and any fear that I might have in the future.
Tell me what bulletproof feels like.
I think to me, it's like, you know, especially when you get to the elite world, you're competing in front of hundreds and thousands of people on national television. You're competing for your country. You have so much pressure. And bulletproof to me, it doesn't matter how much pressure is on you. It doesn't matter, you know, what anybody is saying about you in the social media or in the news or on the blogs or whatever. It doesn't matter, you know, if you fell in warm up. Nothing matters other than you and the equipment. And so to me, bulletproof just means like the wind could be blowing and you won't fall off the beam. Like it could start raining in the arena and you still wouldn't fall off the beam. Like there is nothing that could possibly get you off the equipment when you have that bulletproof mentality.
And what's the number one thing that you feel that you can share with these young gymnasts to become bulletproof?
Well, I'm going to quote you, Miss Val. So this is very ironic, but the first thing that came to mind was it's a choice, right? And everybody has a choice. And I think, you know, it takes you taking ownership of your gymnastics. And, you know, that's why, you know, so many of us are giving back, you know, why you're giving back. That's why I'm giving back. It's one of the most difficult sports in the world. And if I would have known all of these secrets at a younger age, I would have been a lot happier and maybe more successful at a younger age. But for me, it's just about, it's a choice. No one can jump in your brain and see what you're thinking, right? And I think your gymnastics and your attitude reflects what you're most likely thinking in your brain, but no one can change your thoughts yourself. That's like a total on you. So when you start thinking those negative comments, it's no one's fault that you're thinking those negative comments. It's your own fault, you know? And so if you're complaining, if you're, you know, being a crabby in the gym, if you are kind of being that person that like is just upset all the time, that's going to reflect in your gymnastics. And so for me, it would be silly, right, Miss Val, to say that we just wake up every morning and it's great and like life is amazing and I just tell myself I'm beautiful and it, you know, that doesn't happen either. There's some days where I'm in a bad mood and I really have to do an attitude adjustment, and maybe it takes more time than others, and definitely on the hard days in the gym it took a lot of that, but it is a choice. Like you can see it. And I remember those days where I would be so frustrated in the gym. Maybe it's like a 3 in a row assignment and you fall on your 3rd in a row twice or something. And you're just like, And then that's when you have to take a deep breath and you say, okay, my 2 choices are I can get more upset and it's not going to help my gymnastics. And my coaches are going to get more frustrated. And you think about all the repercussions of you becoming more upset, because that's what you just want to do. Or you can be like, okay, this is just not going my way. I am glad that I have one more opportunity to improve this one thing that I was trying to do today. And maybe it's not your most perfect practice, but you're going to salvage a bad practice from being a tornado.
Awesome. Because I'm sitting here just beaming. You have so much wisdom to share, like first-hand wisdom to share, and you share it so beautifully and simply.
Thank you.
Proud mama bear. Okay, so talking about flipping it and flipping your attitude, I think a lot of people probably know that your sophomore year in college, you tore your your Achilles.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that. But I don't think a lot of people know that you were at your peak as a gymnast. You had made the 2008 Olympic team, and you were all set to compete in the all-around, or how many events?
Yeah, it was prelims day, so I was doing all 4.
She was doing all 4 events, and you severely sprain your ankle. So talk us through what that felt like, and how in the world were you able to flip it to help your team win an Olympic medal?
Yeah, I mean, it's not ideal, and from what everyone's dealing with right now, like no one asked for this coronavirus either. You know, it's like things happen that you don't have control over, and unfortunately, one of those things happened to me in the most inopportune times that could probably happen in someone's life. But again, it came down to, okay, I had worked so hard on my mental game and my mental strength and my attitude and just how I carried myself as a person and as an athlete at that time, that it all happened so quickly. You know, I told myself, you know, you have a choice. You can throw yourself a pity party right now and, you know, be the person that, you know, maybe cost everybody a medal, or, you know, you already are kind of going to be changing the program because you're not going to be competing some of the events. So you kind of got to step up and be the best you can be in what you are given. And so I felt like I decided to make a choice that, you know, I had accomplished my lifelong dream walking into that arena and like looking around and seeing all those American flags and being able to compete my bar routine that day. Like it was my Olympic dream come true. And so it was up to me to, you know, make it the best experience and the best possible Olympic experience that I could have. And to me, that was, you know, kind of really changing from an athlete mindset to that cheerleader mindset of, okay, what can I do to help my teammates? Who needs water to chalk their bars with? Does Alicia have the tape she needs for her ankle? Like, who needs that pep talk before they're going? Like, I felt like my role really changed from, you know, focusing only on myself that day to like focus on what does the team need and what can I do to help being on the floor.
Yeah, and it's interesting also that you were able to have that great attitude. It probably would have been easier for you to have that attitude had you been able to compete on your favorite event, your
Yeah.
best Bheem, but you had to
Yes.
compete on bars.
Right, right. Yeah, it was very ironic that the one event that I feel like historically hasn't been the easiest for me to learn and compete was the one event I competed in the Olympics and the only event that I got a perfect 10 on in college.
That's crazy. You never got a 10 on Bheem?
No.
No. Okay.
Yeah, I
Well,
know.
okay. I'm going to go back and talk to those judges.
I know, I know. Amanda Turco, the other day, we had her on online gym school. She's like, yeah, I gave you a couple tens in your career. I'm like, well, you didn't because I only got one. She was like, oh, really? I was like, yeah, it's okay, though. It's fine. I'm not still bitter. It's fine.
Okay. So, Sammy, you are extremely smart, and you are stubborn, and you are headstrong, and like when you believe in something, you go to battle no matter what. Okay. So, one of the things that I insist our gymnasts at UCLA do is smile during their Bheem routines. And every gymnast that comes into college, especially elite gymnasts like yourselves, do not smile. It's serious work and it's focused work, and you're not supposed to be smiling up there. It's business. And I had done my studies up on this, and I had found out that Harvard University, one of the greatest universities in the world, had done a study on the power of smiling, and that when the muscles in your face go up, it actually tricks your mind into believing you're happy. So when you're up on balance beam, you're going to perform better if you feel happy. So that is one reason. Plus, the other reason is I've always felt that balance beam, even though it's only 4 inches wide, is a stage. And we're called artistic gymnastics. So it was, I felt I had to help you guys perform on stage, even though it was only 4 inches wide. And you did not want to do that because, I mean, granted, you had tremendous success, not smiling.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I actually was talking about this with someone the other day of just like the culture in a lot of different levels of the sport. And I actually feel like maybe I would have been a better college gymnast if I just didn't do elite at all, because before I made elite, I was the one that was joking around, laughing in the gym, dancing. I was like the silliest gymnast. Like that was me at all the camps and the high tech camps. Like I was the front, like goofy. And then I made national team, and very quickly you're like you're not supposed to smile, you're not laughing, because it reflects, and they explain why, and it's because it's like you're not paying attention, it's like you're not focused. And so very quickly over time I realized that like that's the mentality that you have, and it's either like you do that or you don't. Those are your options, or you don't make teams. And so I feel like for so many years I trained myself to be like this, and then going to college, it's like I had to untrain myself a certain mindset, right? That I once had. Like I actually was like this, like growing up. And so I feel like the first couple of years at UCLA, it was tough for me. And like, obviously, I feel like you and I have been really close since my freshman year. But I think people don't realize that we actually bumped heads a lot in the gym, because I feel like you were really trying to untrain a lot of that mentality that had been so rigidly like instilled in me. And smiling on Bheem was one of those things that I was like, this is stupid. I don't want to do this. I'm sorry. I thought it was stupid.
I love it. Keep going.
No, that's it. Like I thought it. And then finally, I was like, okay, she keeps like hounding me about smiling. I'm going to do like the cheesiest, most annoying smile that like anyone could possibly do, just to like appease her. And maybe she'll tell me that my smile is like too ugly or scary, and maybe she'll tell me I don't have to smile. And then I ended up doing that, and I got the highest score that I had gotten on Bheem until that point. And so I was actually bummed about it, because I was like, great, now I'm gonna have to smile during all of my Bheem routines. But then towards the end of my career, I liked smiling, and it just was natural to me to do that. It was such a learning curve for me, for sure.
What was your senior year? What was the year you won Bheem?
2015.
2015. You guys go on YouTube and pull up Samantha Peszek 2015 balance Bheem. You're not just smiling, you're glowing up there.
Yeah.
You were talk about this confidence, and as you say, bulletproof. It came out in your face of just this invincibility and pure happiness and joy being up on that Bheem.
And I think that was, if you were to ask me what's the most nerve-wracking routine I've ever done in my entire life, it's that routine.
Why? Well, also talk about the skills choice that you did.
Yeah. I mean, I was nervous because I could tell you really didn't want me to do it.
Well, tell them what we're talking about.
Oh, my standing full. I had this thing that my freshman year I did it and I won Bheem. My sophomore year, I practiced the full in the gym. I actually felt really confident with my standing full. And then I was going to pull it out at nationals, and I didn't make Bheem finals. And so then I had this like weird thing that I shouldn't practice it during the year. And so I didn't practice it my fifth year. And I think in warmups, I fell on like 9 out of 12. Like my percentage was not great at all. And I could tell, and it was my last Bheem routine ever. Even if I wanted to do another one, this was it. Like fall or hit the routine, win or lose. This was my last ever routine as a gymnast. And so I just remember like the look in your eye, and you were like, please don't, like I could just tell you were just wanted me to hit a good routine, whether I won or not. You just wanted me to like finish on a good note. And like I just couldn't not do it. And you were like, okay, that's fine. And I told you, if I fall, I'm just gonna stay on the Bheem and do every trick that I've ever possibly competed.
You did.
For no reason.
You said, I don't care if my routine's like 3 minutes long. I'm going to do every skill I've ever competed ever, because it's my last routine I will ever do.
Oh my God, thank goodness I made that routine. Yeah, and so I was just so nervous because I wasn't super confident with my skills, but I kind of just channeled everything. It was a surreal moment because I think right before I saluted, I just channeled everything that I had taught myself mentally over the years of, the muscle memory, how many times I probably have done that full in my life, how to just totally be zoned in the zone, like focused on what I was doing, but also, you know, I remember midway through my routine, I was doing like a dance part, and part of me just wanted to like stop thinking about the routine and just like take in the moment. And I started to do that. And then I started like feeling like I was wobbling. I'm like, oh, I gotta like enjoy this after the Bheem routine is over. But it's like I went through all the phases of my career in that one Bheem routine.
That's awesome. Okay, so I hope that every single one of you gymnasts gets to attend a Bheem Queen boot camp, because as Sammy said, it's what she learned, how she became invincible on Bheem, transferred to the other events in her gymnastics. And I believe that that is one of the most powerful things about learning how to become a really good Bheem worker, is it makes all the other events better. And if you can, once we get out of this quarantine and she starts up with her Bheem Queen boot camps again, I hope that you all can attend one, and it will be absolutely more than worth any of the money or time that you spend there. What can kids expect to get out of Bheem Queen boot camp?
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is after I finished from the sport, I really reflected on that last Bheem routine and everything in my career, because I was like, gosh, if only I would have known what I know now as a younger gymnast, you know, my whole time would have been a lot easier. So it's really everything I wish I would have known, or I wish I had as a young gymnast. And that's, you know, remembering to find the joy in the hard times, and find the joy in the challenge of, you know, not being so hard on yourself when you make a mistake in practice. That's what practice is for, making a mistake, right. You know, and just that evolution of the mental process of gymnasts in general, and you know this, are type A perfectionists. You know, we're bred to be that. We're typically really strong academically. We're strong athletically. Like everything, we try our hardest, which is why I think young gymnasts are amazing and so great. But I think with that comes the importance of reminding everybody to enjoy the process and to enjoy those phases of your life, and enjoy the struggles, because, you know, when you get over the struggle, you're going to appreciate it so much more, that you had to work for that, and the life lessons that you learned from that. So really, Bheem Queen Boot Camp, we're doing Bheem skills, we're doing drills, we're doing leaps and jumps, you're learning choreography, you're doing confidence training, and I'm teaching them the 3 rules of Bheem that I created to hopefully help them never fall off Bheem again.
Awesome. That is so great. I was able to be a part of one of your Bheem Queen boot camps, and it was just so inspiring and exciting. Okay, I'm going to turn the comments on so you guys can ask Sammy some here. This is honestly one of my most favorite parts. I love all the questions that come up. Thank you both for doing this. We love doing this. I love coming on Gotham Gymnastics and doing this. So if you have a question for Sammy, let us know. Hello. Hi,
I think your camera's turned around.
Mine? Oh, how'd that happen?
I don't know.
Good job, Sammy. I have no idea how that happened.
I don't know how you turn off comments.
How do you sign up for Bheem Queen Boot Camp?
So we haven't announced our summer dates and locations because of the uncertainty that we're all in right now. But if you go to bheemqueenbootcamp.com, you can check out more information. We also have a YouTube channel with a lot of our Bheem experts giving you tips and tricks that might be good to check out. You can also see recap videos of our events.
Canada, somebody in Canada wants you to come. Bheem Queen, come to Canada.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so someone, very smart someone, because this is what I was going to ask, and I don't know if you want to share this or not. What are the 3 rules?
Yeah, so the 3 rules of Bheem, the number 1 rule, it seems very silly, but I had a very smart coach growing up who reminded me this even when I became an elite gymnast. Look at the end of the Bheem. Always and forever, for every single skill, you have got to look at the end of the Bheem. So that's the number 1 rule. The second rule is find your arms. Wherever one arm goes, the other arm goes. And Val, you know how important this is in the dance world. It is, you know, equally as important on Bheem to be really solid. And I always tell people, you know, look at Kyla Ross or Nora Flatley. just to name two off the top of my head. Google their routine, and it doesn't matter if they're off balance or wobbly, their arms are always so solid. Their arms are in the perfect positions at all times, and you don't notice them because it's like they're effortless. They're not flailing around. In the third rule of Bheem, I always ask if people have played tag. It's called go to home base, because when you play tag, there's usually an area that if somebody tags you, you're safe because it's home base. You're on home base. And in gymnastics, every single skill on Bheem has a home base position, and that is a lunge, which is my favorite position. You can also do Bheem feet. And then that position where you finish your leaps and jumps. So a slight bend in your knees, feet together. So look at the end of the Bheem, find your arms, and go to home base.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Ask if you have a mantra, and what is it?
As a gymnast or now?
As a gymnast.
I think as a gymnast, it would just be, you got this. Like and I think more than what I said to myself, it was the tone in which I said something in my own head. And it kind of seems silly, and guys watching this, you can maybe experiment or practice with this. If you say in your head, I got this, and you say it really nervously, do you think that you're going to believe it? No. You have to tell yourself, you got this. Like, it's got to be like you're giving yourself a virtual fist pump in your head. And so I think for me, it was like using that tone in whatever, like that little pump up that would get me there.
Awesome. Okay. Joyful Gymnast, why don't you come to Canada, Sammy?
Yes.
There you go.
I would love to.
And then London, England asked the same thing. Okay. So from coaching you, you were a really, really tough, strong competitor. But just like every single athlete, you made mistakes and you fell, and sometimes you fell hard. And you had what I always felt is that you had a really good balance of being mad that you fell, but not getting down on yourself so it affected the next turn. So take us through your mindset of how you got over disappointment.
Yeah. I think it's really important for athletes, especially in the sport of gymnastics, to have a short-term memory, and that when you make a mistake, you kind of have to move on. It's really impossible to think of two things at once. And so if you're thinking of, oh my goodness, I just fell, that's taking away from that positive voice in your head saying, focus on this next skill, or your corrections or your cues or whatever your typical mental choreography is. It's taking away from that. You're using that inner voice to say something negative, which isn't helpful. And so I always like to take things a step back and really connect the dots to make them make sense for myself. And, if you think about why you made a mistake or why you fell, it's probably because you had a mental lapse, right? You probably, like, for a split second thought something that you weren't supposed to, or weren't thinking of the correction or whatever. And so if you're dwelling on that, that means you're missing it for the second turn. So you really have to take a deep breath, get out all the negative energy, and then think, what's my next cue? I need to be hyper focused on what I'm supposed to be thinking about so I don't make another mistake.
Right. Absolutely. Okay, you got a lot of requests for you to come to their gyms, come to Boston. How do you choose where you go, Sammy?
Gym owners reach out to us. So we actually have an Excel spreadsheet of, more than 100 gyms around the world that wants Bheem Queen Bootcamp to come. So if you're a gym owner watching this, please go to Bheem Queen Bootcamp. We have a host us tab, and you can fill out a form, and we have to have a certain amount of high beams for it to be worth it for us to come. But if your gym is a good fit, then we'll definitely consider it.
Okay. You have a really fun story that you need to explain. Otherwise it sounds really silly and stupid. But someone asked, how did you get over your fear? And what was your fear about? And I know that growing up, you had a fear of going backwards on Bheem, that a lot of gymnasts, I believe, have. And, wow, when they put all the emojis up there, we lose you, Sam. So
yeah,
only one emoji, please, at a time. Otherwise, we lose Sammy. Look around, emoji. So is it true that you had a fear of going backwards? And I remember, and talk to us about Peter and ice cream.
Yeah, so it actually started. I was really afraid of a round off back handspring in level 4 and 5, and it took me about a year and a half to overcome that fear. And that was when my parents were begging me to quit because I would be so upset every day that I couldn't do it. And I decided that after a year and a half, I just wasn't afraid anymore. It was crazy. I did a lot of mental work at a very very young age, like 6 years old. But my next fear, of course, was going backwards on Bheem, and we tried everything. We tried, like I mentioned, the positive talk, the mental choreography, goal setting, and then one day. I just realized that I needed to turn my brain off. And it's really hard if you try to just think of nothing in your head. Like, how do you just think of nothing, right? And so instead of thinking about nothing, I was replacing it with something mindless. And in this case, it was ice cream flavors. And so every time I would do a series, I would think of a different ice cream flavor. So we had like a list printed of ice cream flavors. And one of them would be like chocolate chip cookie dough. So if I did my routine, I would cross up chocolate chip cookie dough, and then I would get to go to my next ice cream flavor. So before I would go for my series, I literally would just say chocolate chip cookie dough, chocolate chip cookie dough, chocolate chip cookie dough. And it was just the act of not thinking about any of those negative thoughts. In hindsight, and later in my career, I replaced that with just, you got this, think about my cues. But at the time, I just needed to get those negative thoughts out of my head any way that I could. And so I was competing at national championships, podium meets, international competitions, traveling with this like list of ice cream flavors because it was the only thing that would help me get over this fear.
That's so great because you replace a negative thought with a positive thought.
Yeah,
Right?
it's psycho. I please don't do that. If you're a gymnast, please try all of the other things before you get to that. But I also am a firm believer that whatever works, and you know, you're not going to be struggling on something forever. You're going to eventually get over that hump. And so for me, it was when I got over that hump, it was realizing that it's probably more productive instead of thinking of ice cream flavors to think about like squeezing my hip at the end and pointing my toes in the air and just saying, you got this, believe in yourself. But at the time, the ice cream flavors was like the golden ticket for me.
Okay, so one last question. I believe that it's been proven that people that have had tremendous success in the world at anything, they figure out how to love to read. And I feel like nowadays, I don't know if young people actually read books. And it's so important that at the youngest of ages, you start getting in the habit of enjoying to read. And I know that you've always been a really strong reader. What would be a book that you would recommend to, besides Life is Short, Don't Wait to Dance, obviously,
Yeah.
that you recommend for young kids
Well,
right
it's funny because like I'm glad I give off that impression that I am a reader and that I like to
now?
read because I don't think that that comes natural to me at all. I think I like learning, and for me, reading is obviously a way to learn, and so I enjoy the learning aspect. But I don't think I love sitting and reading a book. But there are certain books that I think are incredible that have helped me in so many ways. When I was a gymnast competing, there was one book that we all passed around and we read. That was Mind Gym. Have
Yeah,
you read it?
yeah,
Yeah, I actually don't even remember what it's about. I just remember that we all read that book.
yeah.
And then another one, me and Bridget Sloan, and I would not say Bridget is an avid reader either. She reads this book twice a year, she told me yesterday. And we actually read it at the same time in college and we loved it. The Energy Bus. And I know you've read it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a couple books that are just good reminders of the why in your life. I think when you're stuck or you're struggling or you're kind of like in that rut that you're trying to crawl out of, a book is such a great way of, and your book too, Miss Val, like how many life lessons, like I love the self-help books, those like pep talk books, motivational books. And so, I mean, your book is one of those that's included in that story. And the other ones that I listed that really just help remind you of ways to stay positive during this time.
Thank you. Yeah, that's great. This has been so incredibly powerful, Sammy. Thank you so much.
Good.
Okay, so we're going to finish with all you and me and everybody else typing in the comments. I am in big letters, and then fill in the blank with I am. And on the count of 3, we're all going to hit post, and we're going to flood the universe with our positive thoughts of I am. Ready? You ready, Sammy?
So I'm typing I am.
Yeah. You're gonna type I am, and you're gonna fill in I am strong, I am beautiful, I'm courageous, I am bold, I am.
Okay. I'm ready whenever you are.
You got yours?
Yep.
Okay, ready? On the count of 3, we're hitting post. 1, 2, 3. And then you see them all start flooding, and it's really stupid. I'm fearless.
I am bold. I love that.
I'm strong. I am strong. I wrote that first because that's the first thing I thought about. I am a hard worker.
I am wise. I am strong. This is great. And I would also encourage you guys, this may also sound silly, but we're all in quarantine, so no one has to know. But if you wake up in the morning and like there's some days, Miss Val, I don't know if you know this story, when you're a 5th year in college and your body is tired, you're mentally just spent. There were some days where I would just sit in my car before I would go to treatment or walk into the gym and remind myself, like, why am I here? Like, there are some days that like I just didn't want to do it, and you have to remind yourself of that I am statement of like, I am a leader, or whatever it is that day, of like reminding yourself like, why do I need to give 100% today? You know, what is gonna happen if I don't, you know? And so I think these I am statements are so powerful, especially at a young gymnast age. Look in the mirror, and similar to what I was saying about the tone in which you say it, if you say like, I'm strong, like it doesn't really sound like you believe it, you know? And so you have to convince yourself that you believe the statement that you're saying out loud. So give it a try. Maybe just by yourself in your room. I don't know, Miss Val, do you wake up in the morning and do your I am statement in the mirror?
You know what? I wake up in the morning, and before my feet hit the ground, I start saying, I am grateful. I am happy. I am so confident to be here. I am energized. I am committed to making this the best day I've ever lived. I am.
Yeah. And I think that that's telling from your actions and the way that you live your life. And so even though I don't know what happens in your head, I can have a good guess, right? Because if you would live your life in a very negative way and just kind of be crabby, it's very clear that in your head, you're maybe insecure, you're maybe struggling with something. And so, yeah, I think that you did a great job of passing that along and reminding all of us, the athletes you coached, to live your life in that way too.
I am loving. Look at I'm confident. These I ams are really thoughtful, you guys. These I ams are really, really powerful.
You guys should put these I am statements on a vision board. That's something that I wanted to do this weekend, I think. Make a vision board.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about vision boards as well. So,
okay.
All right, Sammy, we got to have you back because there's a lot more to talk about. For now,
sounds good.
Everybody have a great weekend. Obviously be safe, stay home, but most of all, live your I ams today. Okay? Live your I am so the people that you're in quarantine with can see it, can see you being strong and confident and happy and grateful and all of those other things that you put out there. So be safe, be well. Love you, Samantha, Peszek.
Bye. Thank you for having me on.
Okay. All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.